Hello, welcome to the channel Autumn's Boutique. I am Autumn and this is my July wrap-up. So I read 12 books and DNF'd one, and yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into it. So the very first book I finished was The Vegetarian by Hong Kong. I read this for the Create-a-thon, but this was the only book I actually made it through because I was in like the slumpiest of slumps. And so I ultimately didn't end up posting my vlog for the week of Create-a-thon just because it was so boring. It was so boring. So yeah. But this is the only book I read, and I gave it 1 star. Sadly, I did not like this at all. And I think it comes down to the descriptive elements of like eating like basically raw bloody meat. Just did not, like, it was not good. I'm vegan, and so it really made me like nauseous because they were very descriptive when it came to eating this like raw meat, and it just I hated it. I hated it it was so bad. I also didn't like that I don't know, I just didn't like that I couldn't connect with the main character because we didn't have any of her perspective. Like, it was all entirely like her husband, which I didn't like. I didn't like that I couldn't connect to our main character, and it wasn't for me, sadly. But I am going to probably read more from Hong Kong just because the writing style was really interesting. But okay, so also another thing that I didn't love about it was the the negative, the negativity surrounding being a vegetarian. And I get it, it's probably a cultural thing, and this book takes place in South Korea, so South Korea probably has different like cultural settings around being vegetarian, but it felt very weird to me, and I don't know, it I didn't love how negatively being a vegetarian was portrayed, and I don't know, it wasn't for me, sadly. But yeah, but I am definitely intrigued by Hong Kong, and I really would like to read more of their work. So yeah, just vegetarian wasn't for me, that's all. The next book I read was Beach Read by Emily Henry, and I really liked this. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, ultimately just because I feel like it was missing something. I really don't, I couldn't put my finger on what it was missing, but it didn't feel whole to me, like a whole 5 stars. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it just didn't feel like a 5-star. Yeah, I don't know. I really liked it though, and actually at first I was contemplating giving it a 5-star, and I'm pretty sure I at first gave it a 5-star before I changed my rating on Goodreads to a 4-star. But I don't know, I really liked it, and when it comes to books being about books, it really does it for me. Like that alone is like enough to be sold onto this book, and that's, yeah. I also really loved the main characters, January and Gus. They were really overall really good characters to have for a romance, so I liked them, and yeah. But yeah, overall 4 stars. I do recommend this if you like reading romance, but if you don't, I don't think this is like a life-changing book by any means. And in my opinion, it was fun to read, yes, but after the fact, I haven't thought of this book since I read it, so I don't know. It wasn't memorable. That's all I'm trying to say. I enjoyed it while I was reading it, and I really liked it while I was reading it, but after the fact, it was just kind of like, yeah, another romance, you know? So the next book I read was Graceling by Kristen Kishore, my goodness. And also, I forgot to mention, Beach Read, this book, and the next 2 books I read for a 24-hour readathon that I never posted. I never edited or uploaded it, so I'm a little ashamed of myself, but it's okay. And I finished both of these, and then I also finished the next book, and then I started the book after, all within the 24-hour period. But I didn't post it or anything, so yeah. But I am planning on doing a 24-hour readathon sometime in August, but you know, anyways, that's besides the point. Okay. I give this a 3 stars. I enjoyed it a lot, but the thing is, it felt like a very like average fantasy to me. I felt like it was very, very, like, just very average, you know, just very deserving of a 3 star. Like, it's okay. It's not amazing, not terrible. It's just good. And, you know, I was contemplating, because, you know, directly half of 5 would be 2.5 stars, but I'm trying my hardest not to do half stars, so that's why I bumped it up to 3. But overall, really liked it, loved the characters, really liked the setting, but nothing pushed it to more than just a 3 stars. It was just, you know, like, everything just was like average. And how many times am I gonna say average, you know, because I don't think I've explained myself enough. This is an average read, and I don't know, I really enjoyed it, and I am really, really wanting to read the 2 other books in this like series, companion series. I'm not really sure, because I don't think it's like a direct series. I think they're all companion novels within this world, but I do really want to read those. So it definitely left a mark on me, being like, hey, you want to read the other books following this, but it wasn't anything that blew me away, if that makes sense. I feel like that was a super rambly explanation of how I felt. Yeah. And then the next book I read was Heartstopper Volume 1 by Alice Oseman. Gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. It was so adorable. The only thing I didn't love about it is I felt like it ended like kind of abruptly, and like there was not like any sort of like closure. And I mean, I realize this is like there are 2 other volumes out currently, and so it's obviously continuing, but I felt like usually it kind of like slightly wraps it up before being like going into the second book, but I just felt like there was not any closure when it came to this. I don't know, maybe that's just a personal thought. I don't know. I don't know if anybody else felt that about this book, but I still loved it. I'm still definitely going to read the other installments of this book, because it was absolutely precious and I really liked it. So yeah. Okay, before I talk about the next book, I just want to like, I don't know, stop and have a little chatty moment. So I am really bad at reviewing books on camera. I don't know what it is. I'm still learning, and I'm trying to like figure out what to actually say about books, and like, yeah. And also, I do these videos after weeks after reading these books, and so like I kind of like forget how I felt in that moment. So I think from now, or for August, I'm gonna attempt making these like recent reads rather than monthly wrap-ups, so that way after I read like 4 or 5 books, I'm gonna go in and like talk about those books like immediately after reading them, so it's like fresh, and I know like I remember what I liked about them and everything, because trying to like make reviews and talk about the books when I don't exactly remember everything, because I also have a very poor memory, so that doesn't help. And like, yeah, I don't know. So I think in August I'm gonna try and do recent reads and wrap up books after every like 4 or 5 reads, just to make it more like cohesive, and that way I can also explain more of my feelings about it and not have to feel like, oh, I'm gonna try and like reduce every book down to like 2 minutes each, so that way this book or this wrap up is only like 15 minutes long, you know, things like that. So I think I'm gonna start doing recent reads coming up in August, just so I have like more time to like be able to really discuss books and really like remember what I'm discussing about these books and everything. Yeah, that's just how I think I'm gonna do them from now on. The next book I'm gonna be talking about is Forbidden by Beverly Jenkins, and I love this. It was fantastic. I originally gave it 4 stars, but then I was just like thinking about it and I couldn't remember a thing I did not like about this book. So I gave it a 5 stars. And I really loved this. I loved this. I loved the main characters. They were both fantastic characters to follow. And it just made for a super enjoyable time. And also this book brought up so many important conversations without taking away from the fact that it was a romance, you know, because I usually read romances for the like lighthearted good time, you know, and this had it, but also talking about very important discussions to be made. So I really enjoyed that, and I'm so looking forward to reading more of Beverly Jenkins' works, because this book was just phenomenal and I loved it. So yes. And then the next book I picked up was Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert, and this has staked its claim in like my top 10 favorites of the year for sure. I adored this book more than anything, and this book honestly has made me go back and like think about all the other romances I gave 5 stars to, and like think like, is it really deserving of a 5 star? Because I feel like this is the only book that deserves a 5 star in my opinion. Okay, wait, that's a bit extreme. I'll take it back. But this book made all the other 5 stars feel like a 4 star when this, you know, it's deserving of the 5 star. I love this. But yes, I did give it a 5 star, by the way. I really enjoyed the time spent with these characters, and I love these characters too. And just like, I don't know, the writing style was fabulous, and I love the Chloe Brown and her sisters, and well, her family in general, highlight of the book. I loved them so much, especially the grandmother. Is Gigi, is that her name? I already forgot, and I feel, but she was hilarious and I loved her. But like, I love this book. I loved everything about it, and it was just so amazing, and I cannot wait to read more from Talia Hibbert, because such incredible writing. Loved it. Loved every second of it. Okay, by the way, that book, Get a Life, Chloe Brown, I read for the reading rush, and I kind of failed at the reading rush, but I'm not mad about it, because some problematic things happened with the reading rush that I don't have any interest in talking about. So if you want to look at it, like, you know, type in reading rush on Twitter and you'll find it, because yeah. But besides the point, that was my first and last reading rush. I probably will never participate in the reading rush again, just because it made me really anxious, and I don't know, it wasn't my thing. And then the second book I completed for the reading rush was Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Sea of Monsters. This is the second book in the series, and I love this. I gave this a 5 stars because it was so precious, and I love Percy. He's such a good middle grade protagonist, and I love him, and he's so snarky and funny, and I really respect that, because he also knows when to bring it down a notch and be like respectful of people, and I really like that. And like, you can tell he's grown so much from the first book alone, and like, I don't know, I really like it, and I was great kid. And I love the new character that was introduced in this book. He is also a favorite of mine. He was adorable. He's just precious little bean. But yes, I love this series so far. I've only read the first 2 books, but I definitely love it, and it's definitely becoming a favorite series of mine, and precious. Loved it. Every second of it. That's all I have to say. And then the next book I read was Orange Future by Ichigo Takano. Orange is my absolute favorite manga series ever. I adore those books, and I was putting off reading this just because I was a little nervous, because I thought that the ending of the previous volume of Orange wrapped up everything pretty nicely, and so I wasn't expecting anything past that. And you know, honestly, after reading this, I loved being back with the characters, don't get me wrong. I just felt like this wasn't exactly necessary to add to the story, you know. Gave it a 3 out of 3 stars, 3 out of 5 stars, because I enjoyed it, and I liked being back with characters. I just didn't think it added anything or was like necessary to read, which, you know, that's my opinion. But I enjoyed it. I don't know. It was 3 stars. Yeah. I'm getting really bad about, like, the more books I review, the worse I get, so please forgive me. The next book I'm going to be talking about is the book that I DNF'd during the reading rush, and that is Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. And I'm sad, but this is, okay, before I say anything else, this is going to be a temporary DNF because I have full intentions of picking this back up and finishing it in the future. Just not right now, because this book is weird. It's got a lot going for it, and just a little like, I wasn't in the headspace for it at all. This is just very almost like a science fiction-y horror. I don't really know how to explain it, but it wasn't like setting right in my, like, when I was during the reading rush. It's just like I couldn't like absorb everything that was happening, and so I got confused quickly, and also it wasn't the right time to read it, you know. That's all. I got to page 318 before stopping, just because I don't know, I wanted to like push myself through it, but I found the more I was pushing myself to read it, the more I was like the less I was wanting to read it. And so like I knew that was like time to stop, and I'm just gonna pick it up later. So yeah, DNF'd temporarily. I still plan on picking it up, just probably not anytime soon, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I was enjoying what I was reading though. It was very like entertaining. Is that the right word to use? I feel like that's a weird word to use when it comes to describing this book, but it was entertaining to read for the beginning half. So yeah. The next 2 books I have to talk about are a part of a series, and they're the last 2 books I read during the reading rush, but I didn't talk about them in any of my vlogs, just because I read them on day 5 and I didn't post anything for day 5. And it is Avatar: The Last Airbender, The Promise Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1, or I gave them both 4 stars, just because I really enjoyed them, and I really liked like what was happening and everything. It's just I felt like I kept comparing it to the original cartoon, which is one of my favorite TV shows of all time, and I felt like when I kept comparing it to the TV show, I was just a little like let down, because I felt like some of the characters weren't like acting the same, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it, other than like it just didn't feel like the cartoon, and so that's it didn't feel like the TV show, and that's like the only reason I docked it a star, because I still really enjoyed it, and I really loved being back with the characters and everything, and I love like the way it's going, because it's directly after the TV show ends. It picks up immediately after the TV show ends, and I really like that, and I really like the direction it's going in. I just don't love it. I guess that's I don't know how to review books anymore. Also, I wrote reviews for every single one of these books on my Goodreads page, so if you want to check it out, it will be linked below, because I think those reviews are probably more coherent than what I'm saying right now. So yeah. The next book I read was Over the Top: A Raw Journey to Self-Love by Jonathan Van Ness, and I loved this. It was so entertaining. I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars though, just because it's not written like a traditional book, and that's the only thing that kind of like pushed me away from it, because I listened to the audiobook, which is narrated by Jonathan Van Ness, and I loved it. It just felt like a podcast more than an audiobook, which isn't an issue at all. It's not. It just wasn't what I was expecting, and so it kind of like threw me off, and like I don't know. Just didn't. It was fine. And I also really really liked learning everything that like Jonathan Van Ness went through to get to where he is now. It was very inspiring, and just very like just emotional, you know. I loved it. It was great. And the very last book I read for the month of July is So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijeoma Oluo. And I loved this, gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I think this should be a mandatory read in schools. I think every single person should read it, because it's like, it's that important. And I definitely learned a lot from it. And also though, I thought some of the things were just like common sense. And the sad part is, not everyone like thinks that. Like, not everyone thinks that some of the things that were said is common sense. And like, that's why I think everyone should read this book. But I really enjoyed it and I really liked it. And I think I'm gonna purchase a physical copy of it, because I listened to the audiobook, which was narrated phenomenally. But I think I am gonna purchase a physical copy just to be able to like physically read it and like, I don't know, retain the information that way, because I do retain information more when I physically read versus audio. And that way I can like absorb all of the information I only heard one time, you know? Yeah. Yeah. I also really want to like annotate it, because there were some like amazing quotes in there, and yeah. And that is everything I read for the month of July. I hope you enjoyed and maybe found a new book to read, hopefully. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like and subscribe, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye, everyone.